Just want to do a quick little video on old versus new. Here we have the 66 Mustang. I talked about that in an earlier video. And then right next door we have the new. We have a GT350R. My story behind this car is I got a 2016 GT350 orange, black stripes, non-R, and I drove that for about 4 years. Really enjoyed it. Knew I liked the car so much I thought I would try to get a hold of an R, because in 16 they were untouchable. And then ended up asking the dealer if they had an allocation to let me know, and of course everybody that I contacted said, oh no, can't get one. And I was like, okay, that's a sign I'm supposed to keep the keep my regular GT350, which I was happy with anyway. So 6 months goes by and a dealer called me up, said, hey, we have an allocation for an R, do you want it? And I said, I don't know, let me think about it. Thought about it overnight and said, let's do it. So sold the 16, and then while this was on order, it took almost a year. It was during COVID, it's 2020. It came in, so here it is. Of course, you guys know by now, carbon fiber wheels. First factory carbon fiber wheels on a car, just factory spec. 5.2 liter flat plane crank motor, 526 horsepower, really the same as the regular GT350. On the R, of course, you have a seat delete in the back. You can see in here, no back seat. Have the red little swatch up here at the top. I went with red so that the red inserts come on any R, so I thought it made sense to do red on the outside, and it matches the red calipers that come on it. You can see the bigger spoiler over the standard GT350, and then the red badging is unique to the R, unless you get like I think the last year they had the Wimbledon white with, I can't think of the name of that package right now, but you could get that kind of that white and creamy white and blue striped Heritage Edition. That's what it was called. But then it changed your badge to blue, and I almost got that, but I didn't like the idea of you're getting an R and you're the only R with a blue badge, so it just didn't make sense to me. But I think they're cool. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, love Mustangs, as you heard earlier if you watched my 66 Mustang video. But I like how, you can look at the gills in the headlights here and see the gills in, or whatever you want to call them here, reminiscent of the 66. Kind of an open mouth grill there, open mouth grill there. Of course, this is a coupe over here instead of a fastback, but if the 66 were a fastback, you'd see a similarity in the fastback here to this, but obviously this isn't a fastback. But I like how they took a little bit of the old, mixed it with the new, kept the gauges in this. I know the GT500, they went to a more modern gauge cluster, which I like as well. But I like that it's a manual 6-speed. I like the clutch in this. Ford performance. I like everything about this car. So to my opinion, it's a true driver's car. GT350 with the classic kind of slit there behind the front wheel. Yeah, great driver's car. So let's take it out for a quick drive. Did the track attack with this, but we have a track day coming up in a little bit where you're just driving on the track. I'm not really going to be racing or anything like that, but this has 350 miles. I'd like to get at least 1,000 on it before then, so we're just going to take this out today to get some miles on it. All right, so there it is, a little comparison. And then you can look at the gauges inside this. Of course, old school gauges. So I kind of like that in the other car, it also had kind of some of those older old school gauges going on. So kind of fun. Old versus new there. So just a little side-by-side comparison. Gonna go ahead and do a cold start here. And you always got to run this in sport mode, not normal mode, because normal mode sounds like that. Who wants that when you can have that? Easy decision. I even dropped my satellite service in this car because I want to listen to the motor. I don't want to listen to music. The battery tender unplugged, so we're good there. So cold start. While we're waiting for this to warm up. I'll do another video with a better camera setup to free up so you can see me shifting. The GT350 has just such a unique sound. I mean, you can just hear, you get on the gas, you can hear it rev. It sounds so good all the time. I like that it's kind of old school, that you have to shift it, you have to rev match. I like that you have to do all those things. One thing that's really important with this motor is you let the oil get up to temp before you start to rev it out, and as well as break it in before you start revving it out. So I just want to get some miles on this today to break the motor in a little more. I said we're about 350 miles or so. Anyway, stay tuned. I'll get a better camera setup so that you can have a better driving experience in this car. But for today, I just want to do a comparison of the two cars side by side while I had the other car still. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to talking more about Mustangs in general. I'm kind of a Mustang fanatic of sorts, but generally I like cars and motorcycles and those kinds of things. But yeah, we'll talk more car talk, more Mustang talk. I like the Tremec 6-speed manual transmission that this has. It shifts really well. It's got a good notchy mechanical feel. Doesn't just slips right into gear and does what it's supposed to. And I guess the Tremec holds up well too. I haven't heard of any problems with it. But anyway, unique car. GT350 isn't a drag car. There's faster cars for sure, but it's quick, and when you're on a track, it's quick and can turn left, right, stop, and move fast enough forward that it's a great track car. And I just like this car for the driving experience. It's real satisfying. It spoiled me for my other cars. I drive in this car, it feels so rigid, feels so sure-footed. Body doesn't roll. I mean, I'm sure it is, but the Magnerite suspension seems to smooth it out. So it's just hard to beat this car for what it is, for the price. I'm just glad I've got it. So, plus, if it's got a snake on it, you know it's got to be good. But I'll look forward to sharing more about the car and other Mustang information, related information. I've got a 65 fastback that we're restoring, so I'll post things on that from time to time. Oh, just a little addition here. The 2016 GT350s kind of got a bad rap because they talked about the oil filters spinning off, and my car was in that batch where that could happen, so I got a special mailer with an oil filter wrench, and the service bulletin on how to torque the oil filter, how many foot-pounds and so forth. But on that car, I just ended up switching it to the canister for the 2017s. The whole assembly could be purchased and bolted on, and you just had to remove the alternator. And so I think if you follow the procedure, I really felt pretty comfortable that it wouldn't come off. But it just seemed like for the being able to swap that out to the canister style that they went to in 17, 18, I believe, and on forward, that was an easy fix. So just kind of a footnote on that. And then other guys put like clamps and different things so that if it tried to spin off, it would index off and stop itself. So there were so many solutions that that never really was a big concern to me, even when I had one of the vehicles affected. And then there were some my particular GT350, my 2016, had a track pack, so it didn't have some of the overheating issues that the non-track pack issues had. Later they changed that. I can't tell you which year, that all the GT350s from a certain year forward, I don't know if it was 18 or 19, they started to come with differential coolers and some of the coolers to keep the oil clean, so if you tracked them, that it would not overheat. So they fixed that issue as well. But I can understand from the owner's standpoint, back in 16, you had to pick the tech pack or the track pack. I just happened to pick the track pack, but I have to admit, it's nice to have a little tech. So I just kind of got lucky with my choice. I could have gone either way on that, I guess. But just a few little topics that come up now and then. Yeah, I'll just talk about things as I think of them. Another difference between the 2016 and the 2020 GT350 that I'm driving now is I noticed my 16 would tram line around a lot more. It would, you had to really watch it. I mean, it wasn't a problem, but if the road went off camber, that front end would really want to follow it. In fact, so much so that when I first drove it, my 2016 home, I pulled over to make sure I didn't have a flat tire. But no, they weren't flat, they were just grippy. And the way the front end was set up, it was very twitchy, which again wasn't bad. You learned how to drive it, and it was very responsive that way. You barely move the steering wheel and it would turn, which wasn't a bad thing. You just had to drive that car, not just, it was a lot different than the GT350 that I had before that, which was a great car as well. So this is my third car on the S550 platform. You know, the Mustang GT, then a GT350, 2016 GT350, and then the GT350R. This car doesn't seem as twitchy. I think in 2020, may have been in 2019, so don't quote me on this. They changed the front end with some of the GT500 parts, and I think that helped that issue quite a bit. And again, you could look at that as a positive or a negative. I like it, but I didn't mind the 16. I would have never sold that car because of that. But I like that the updated steering. I can relax a little more. I don't have to be quite on, excuse me, quite as on edge with the car. So just thinking of things that the GT350 has encountered along the way. Some of them limited to just a model year or two, some spanning more model years, but overall I think the GT350 is an awesome car. And this flat plane crank motor, I mean, just listen to that thing. I never, like I was saying earlier in this video, I never listened to the rarely, I won't say never, but rarely even listen to the radio or music, because I want to hear this car. I want to hear that motor. It sounds so good. I mean, and you got to rev match this thing. I like that. I like that you got to drive it. And yeah, great car. Just wanted to give a little section where I'm rolling through the gear. First you got to rev match, and then you just. And again, I'm not trying to rev this out. Just sounds so good. Most of the time I even will roll down and crack a window so I can hear the motor. You can rev match. And I like that you have to do that as a driver. If you're on a track or something, I can see where auto blip's a nice thing to have. But I like that this car makes me do that. I don't don't mind that it does that. Just something that I liked about the GT350 non-R better is it didn't have the spoiler in the back. As you're driving this has a pretty big spoiler in the back, and it makes it kind of hard to see out. But again, it has a purpose to provide more downforce in the rear of the car. But I guess the gurney flap on the that you can add to regular GT350 that comes with it provides substantial downforce. So you know, it's a very the non-R has a very functional spoiler in the back that doesn't obstruct the view. But you know, this is unique to this car, and I accept that. I mean, I like that it's unique to how this was made, and it looks good on this car. But just functionally, that's just something to be aware of, that it does have that you know, spoiler kind of in the middle of the rear you know, window, but not a negative, just one for visibility. If you're at the track, I don't see it being a real problem. This car just sticks so good, and third gear is kind of the magic gear in this thing. Third gear will go down fairly slow, and then also can get you up moving pretty quickly at the top end. I find myself shifting more than I probably need to in this car just because it's so much fun. Never fails when you're in a GT350 that you get behind a Subaru or a Prius, but that's another topic for another time. So I'm slow it down for a little bit. The R version has a resonator delete from the factory, so it has a little raspier exhaust note. It's kind of a neutral. I like the sound of it with the resonator delete, but my 16 didn't have a resonator delete, and I like the sound of it too, so I could go either way on that. Doesn't really matter to me. Other differences, have a carbon fiber wheels on this car. It does feel a little bit lighter on its feet, which is a pro. However, a potential con is that if I hit a pothole with this and taco a carbon fiber wheel, it's a $5,000 bill just for the wheels. So that's a negative. Some people trade out the wheels, but here the roads are okay, generally speaking. I'm just gonna drive the carbon fiber wheels. I bought the car with them, paid for the car with them, you know. I'm gonna use those wheels, and then if something happens, I'll deal with that. But hopefully nothing happens, because that's a lot for a wheel. But so that's just another difference. And I didn't have any problem with my 16 feeling not liking the carbon. I didn't find it was bad that it didn't have carbon fiber wheels. I thought it handled great. So just pointing out differences between the two cars from a practical standpoint. Just a little comparison of the GT350 5.2 flat plane crank versus like a Coyote 5.0. A Coyote is such a good motor as well. I love how smooth it is. It still likes to rev really quite high at 7,500 RPM, the third generation Coyote. So I think the Coyote is just a heck of a good motor. It takes boost. Having a cross plane crank instead of a flat plane crank, I think the Coyote's pretty robust, pretty tough. But the GT350 5.2, very unique sound, very unique revving characteristics. When you hear a 5.2, you just know what it is from quite a distance away even. But I do love the Coyote 5.0. I just wanted to say that. Coyote's very smooth, no vibration or minimal vibration, whereas the 5.2 is angry. It's raspy. It's a caged beast that just wants to go, begs to go, wants to be driven fast. And the 5.0, hey, you can drive it slow. It'll walk. If you want to rev it out fast, it'll do that. So it'll do everything. GT350 though stays so flat in the corners. Switching that, talking about handling characteristics, it just always amazes me how good it handles. It's like it's on rails. It's like you really don't have wheels underneath you. It stays so flat. But an S550 Mustang with a performance pack really handles quite good too. So they're both great cars, but different because of drivetrain options and motor, transmission, as well as some finer tweaking of the chassis, spring rates and such. Car handles so good. Finish up the video, let's go to the heart of the power plant. 5.2 liter flat plane crank motor, revs to 8,250 RPM, makes most of its power above 3,500 RPM. I gotta rev this motor, it doesn't have a ton of torque. There it is, Ford Performance shock tower brace. Comes with the cold air intake from the factory, and this is the way it comes, just as you see it. Vent to help with cooling. And as far as mods go, I actually leave it just the way it is. It's a Shelby. I'm just going to leave it like this. I put the oil catch cans from Ford Performance on it. High revving motor, it seems to suck a little oil up into those catch cans, but not a problem, just something a high revving motor does. I like that it's hand built, and the person who signs it built it. So Matt, thank you, appreciate it. There was a timing chain, I wouldn't say recall, but technical service bulletin, and mine didn't. We checked it, I checked it and the dealer checked it, and it was okay. So everything's good, so good job, Matt. And then just go to the 66 here, 289 V8. So V8 and 66, and I like that. Fast forward to 2020, and it still has a V8. Times are changing, and I don't think it'll be long where we'll see more electric vehicles. They're fast, they're efficient. But I do love V8, so I'm happy that this has a V8 and a manual transmission. That's perfect. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll have more Mustang-related content. Stay tuned. Like and subscribe if you want more Mustang and other car-related content. All right, thanks for tuning in. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.